Hello and welcome to Rolling with Two. I'm Will, and with me as always is the very civilized
Sarah.
And today we're doing a two-player perspective and accessibility for Sid Meier's Civilization: A New Dawn. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. In Civilization: A New Dawn, players act as the rulers of history's most memorable empires. Over the course of the game, players will expand their domain, develop new technologies, and build many of humanity's greatest wonders. The player who completes one agenda on each of the 3 goal cards wins and secures their empire's future. All right, Will, so how do the rules change for 2 players?
So for 2 players, you use a different number of map tiles. It makes the map smaller, more manageable, less spread out. Also, the number of wonder cards you use is different for a 2-player games than other player counts.
Well, basically, all player counts are going to be different on those 2 aspects.
And then there is no bot. The closest thing you have are city-states that kind of just sit out there, but they don't actually do anything. They just judge you. Other than that, that's it.
Yep. All right. Issues in a 2-player game.
We didn't really find anything.
Yeah.
In fact, what we found was something of a mixed bag, and it depends on the type of player you are.
Right.
So, in a 2-player game, there is less player interaction because, well, there's only one other player. However, the game doesn't force you to interact with anybody.
Exactly.
So, if you're very much an isolated player, fine. If you do want a bit of player interaction, that also is fine because you can have a little bit. Again, that's why the city-states are there, because it adds a little bit of interaction with other entities. However, if you're looking for a highly interactive game, that's when you probably wouldn't be so great at the 2-player count.
Right. This is not a head-to-head combat-oriented Civilization game.
Yeah, Sarah mentioned there were goal cards, and each goal card, one might have an option for you to be very interactive, like conquering cities. However, each goal card has 2 options, so you aren't forced to have to be head-to-head. You can be very, I'm going to stay over here and do my own thing, which is nice to have your choice of how you pursue your civilization.
You have your room to expand as you want, and you don't have to be worried every second that the other player is going to come and destroy it.
Yeah.
Now, again, if that's what you want, maybe this isn't quite right. But what the game does really well for a 2-player experience is, well, it's shorter. I mean, it's kind of obvious. There's no simultaneous play with this game, so it is you are taking a turn, your opponent's taking a turn, and so on. So the more people you have playing, the longer it's just going to take.
Yeah, and it's not a complex game to play. I mean, you choose an action, you look at where it is in this lineup in front of you, and then move it over to the end. So your actions are fairly simple. However, there's a lot of thought that goes behind when you choose an action at its particular spot.
That is very true.
That's where all the AP comes in.
Yeah. And actually, like we already kind of mentioned, is what we think that's really good about this 2-player experience is it doesn't automatically force 2 players into that head-to-head competition. There are some games we feel like if they're at a higher player count, you don't necessarily have to be, constantly fighting each other. But some games then make the 2-player experience like that. But this is not. This one is very much you're just trying to race to the finish for those goals.
Yeah, if anything, this game kind of forces you to play around with a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, if you take another type of Civ game and someone gets heavy into military, well, now you have to worry about military all the time because that's their strategy. In this game, if you take a military action, well, now that action goes to being its weakest form, so it has an ebb and flow. They're not always going to be attacking you.
They don't all of a sudden have a giant army, and they're always going to have a giant army.
Right.
It's not that. All right, I think that covers the 2-player experience.
Yes.
So let's go to accessibility. The biggest issue with this game, and it's no surprise, Small text, because there's a lot of text. It's a heavy game that has a lot of reading, a lot of comprehension. Along with this small text, there's small icons. I'd say their graphic design is relatively good, but I found myself squinting at a lot of things, and when it came to stuff on the board, I was leaning over to get a closer look at what was on the board if I could not pick it up.
Yeah, you had a big issue with like the city-states.
Yes.
Because there are tokens specific for that city-state. Like if somebody comes in and takes it, then you get that token. Well, you have to match up the token, and it usually requires a symbol that's like in the background.
So what it is each city-state corresponds to one of the five technologies. So there's science and culture and things. But on top of that, then there is a shaped symbol around it. So several city-states are going to be science, but you have to make sure you get the right one. So is it in a circle? Is it in a diamond? Is it in like a little burst? And it's there. It's just sometimes it feels like it blends in, like it's black on a dark background. So it just kind of blends in. And because there's so much going on in the game, sometimes remembering that is difficult.
Yeah. And that's honestly where we also saw a lot of cognitive challenge. It's the minutia
Yes.
in the games. Like, okay, the barbarian stepped into this spot. They encountered this thing. What happens again?
Right.
I also found that very particular in the military, because the military is very nebulous in the base game. I was always like, how does that work again?
Yeah.
And so we were constantly checking the rule book for, okay, if this many spaces away, that technology, that thing, where's the bonuses from? Okay, now we roll the dice. And it is a little cumbersome cognitively.
Right. I mean, most of the technologies you have at level 1 are relatively straightforward and limited. But you pretty quickly evolve those and level them up into better versions. But then they bring their own complexity because they don't just get better. They change. So you might have had an ability at one level, but then you go up to the third level and now you don't have that ability anymore because you have something completely different. So it's constantly shifting on you as well.
Yeah, which is nice gameplay.
Oh, yeah, it's great, but it can be a lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
Lastly, for accessibility, like I said, most of the graphic design is fine, but the purple and blue on the World Wonders, the tokens especially, they put a tiny, tiny little icon on the really dark part at the bottom. It's just hard to see. And then purple and blue, because it's kind of a darker blue, that just kind of blends together. So the contrast of the icon on the background was not great for those two pieces.
All right. Well, what does it do right for
I would
accessibility?
say for player colors, I think they did a really good job. Yes, they used red, green, blue, and orange, but not your typical hues. I think that they're bright, distinct enough that I don't think most people with normal colorblind, like red, green, or blue, green, or whatever, like even just sometimes orange and red together can be very much the same. But I don't think they're going to be a problem.
Yeah, lime green really stands
Yeah.
out as a green.
It's pretty bright.
Yeah.
It's pretty bright. The components are all unique as well. There's the wagon is going to be, different than your city, than your capital, and all the other just cardboard pieces. When you get to the resources, they're all circular, but the pictures, like I said, the icons are all unique on them. I think the best thing is it's all open information.
Yes.
So if you have any trouble, whether it's trouble seeing it or trouble understanding it, you can ask somebody else for help, because, yeah.
Yeah, now you will have like diplomacy cards on the side, and you will have tech cards on the side, but when it comes to interacting with those aren't secret.
Right.
You just pick them up and start reading them, and anybody at the table can really know what they are.
Pretty much.
So, completely open information, nothing hidden.
Exactly. All right, conclusion.
Conclusion, for 2 players.
Yes, recommend this definitely. It's a good experience at 2.
Yes, totally agree. Was a little worried when you come to big civilization games.
Yeah.
It's usually like one thing kind of dominates.
Yeah.
This game, I don't feel it does, because it's actually asking you to do more than just one thing.
Oh, for sure.
Since it's asking you to do 3 things and each thing has 2 choices, the play area of what you're doing really expands. So 2-player, fantastic.
Yep.
Accessibility.
Yes. I mean, unless you have really severe vision issues, but Will has really severe vision issues. And with my help, because of it all being open information, he was able to play just fine and enjoy it. So I think as long as you are open to getting help from other people, or you have some sort of assistive device, I think anybody should be able. I mean, cognitively, this may be too heavy for some people, actually.
Right. I would actually say the cognitive would be the bigger limiting factor.
Yeah, than the vision.
Because with everything being open information, that wasn't really an obstacle for me.
Yeah.
Even though I couldn't really see the map, I got a general idea of what things where things were and what to do about it. So didn't have a problem there. It was just the rule is continuously.
Having to look things up. Yeah.
Yes. So there we are for accessibility. Yes, on both, with the minor caveat. All right, that'll do it for us here at Rolling with Two. And Sarah, why do you conquer?
Because I can.
There you go. And why would you ever roll with just one when you can be rolling with two? And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.